Hello, I'm Miss Lovey Math, and for today's video, I'll be talking about rectangular coordination system, or another name for the Cartesian coordination system. Specifically, we will be going more about this wonderful system right here, the quadrants, the order pairs, and any tips that can help you memorize how to remember these like wonderful shapes and points and etc. When it comes to regarding of the rectangular coordination system, specifically the details, think of it like a more 2D. So originally how it was in the past is that you had this number line and it going from 1 to and then -1. Think of it more of like these two particular being two separate number lines, but for some reason they just tend to coordinate with each other. So you have now, instead of this one singular number line, now you have two. You have the x-axis and the y-axis. So the x-axis is the horizontal number line and the y-axis is the vertical number line. And when these two form, they create four quadrants. They create quadrant number 1, quadrant number 2, 3, and 4. When it comes to some tips that have helped me out to ensure I knew which is which, um, I like to look when it comes to like the x-axis, and I know it's a horizontal number line. I like to pay attention to the x. I think of it kind of like parallel horizontal lines, kind of like this, to help me memorize that this is the x-axis. And when it comes to the y-axis, I like to look at the v, specifically how the v looks to me like a down arrow. And we'll learn more about the quadrants, as there is a particular reason why they are the way that they are currently. Now let's get into order pairs or points. So the purpose of that is whenever we actually deal with a rectangular coordination system, it's mainly just to make points or do order pairs. So what I mean by order pairs, basically it's this wonderful thing right here. So basically, um, let's say we want to do 1 1. So this one first, the x, that one leads to the x-axis, so aka here. So first we would move down to 1 because that's where our point is at. So let's move it 1. Then we're going to focus on the y-axis, aka vertical. Because we know the point's right here, we're going to move up 1. So basically, whenever you see this little formula right here, well, I like to consider a formula because you just input what you need to input. Um, Basically, it's just to pinpoint exactly where your point is at. Sometimes there are some books that like to write this out. Basically, it just means the point, but you just need to label it. So this will be labeled A, just to give a full demonstration. Yeah, this is this. So when it comes to this particular, the one in the middle, the 0 0, that one's called the origin. Um, it's basically just to show where exactly both the x-axis and the y-axis tend to meet, which is normally at the 0 0 point. And going back to the quadrants, so the main reason why the quadrants are the way that they are is because of the negative or the positive. So for example, like I said, this one's one, quadrant 1. So that means that the x-axis is in the positive and the y-axis is in the positive as well. Then we're going down to 2. This one, because we're always focused on the x first, that means that we're gonna have to move to the left. So that means that this one's going to be negative, and then we're moving up. So this one's going to be positive because of the y-axis. Number three. Number three ends up being both negatives because we're moving to the left due to the x-axis, and then we're moving down because of the y-axis. So this one's negative, negative. Lastly, number four, you're moving to the right because of the x-axis is first, and then we're gonna move down um to get to this quadrant. Um, Definitely a tip to help me out that helped me out when I was doing this math. I like to focus mainly which side are we moving first? Are we moving left or right? And that's particular for the x-axis. Then when it comes to the y-axis, what are we moving, up or down? Um, some few games that I like to think about when it comes to just getting it really stuck in your memory is actually three games. I like to think about chess. Sometimes chess, you focus more on the piece. You focus on the piece first, and then you move um, however which chess moves. I like to think about battleships. Sometimes that's another way because sometimes we move to the left and then right. I know it's like B7, you know. And lastly, another game that helps me memorize which goes which is actually um, master key. So basically, that's the two buttons where you first have to click to the left, and then you gotta click up. These three games actually do tend to help me memorize, like, which side am I moving? Am I moving left or am I moving right? And then from there, what am I moving? Am I moving up or am I moving down? Now we're gonna do some few problems with these wonderful order pairs or points. Alrighty, so these are the wonderful 6 questions that I have for us. These are the type of questions you tend to see in this type of problems. So, let's go to it. If you want to solve them by yourself, definitely pause at this time as I will be going over the answers and then check back on your answers very, very soon. So, number one, we have a negative 4, negative 4 and 3. So basically, since we know that negative 4 is the x-axis, we will be moving to the left negative 4 times. And because it's a positive 3, that means we're going to move up 3. This looks about right. So I'm going to label that and then mark it number 1, aka A. So that's number A. I mean, that's the letter A, aka number 1. For number 2, we have 2 and 4 as our order pair. So that means we need to move to the right 2 times, and then we need to move up 4 times. So here is letter B. Now, for the other 4 questions, they are more of finding out which is which. So for number 3, C, we have, I just realized I didn't label. Let's just pick random ones. Alrighty, sorry about that. I was like, wait a minute, there's no C. Okay, so for um letter C, we got, let's see, we got to move to the left. So 1, 2. This is negative 2. So let's label that down, and then we got to go up. So we're gonna go up 1. And so C is negative 2 for the x-axis and positive 1 for the y-axis. Now for number 4, or D, we have it down in the third quadrant, so that means that they're gonna be negative, so we're gonna move to the left 2 times, and then we're gonna move to the bottom 2 times. So as we can see, it's gonna be -2, -2. Now for E, from what it seems like, we will be in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, the x-axis is positive and the y-axis is negative. So that means that we will be moving to the right 3 times. And it looks like we're moving down 2 times. So 1, 2. So that means for our x, we're putting number 3, and then for our y, we're putting -2. Now, number 4, I consider it to be a little bit tricky because sometimes students confuse which is which. So definitely, if you need a little bit extra time to figure this one out, don't worry. But for the F, it seems like we're not really moving at all. We want to remember that this is the origins, aka the x is 0 and the y is 0. So that means because it doesn't seem we're moving to the left to the right, that means that our x is going to be 0. However, our y does seem to be moving, so we're moving up 3. And that is some problems regarding this, the rectangular system. Definitely, um, if you want more questions, feel free to email me or just comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this YouTube videos. I know that you would do great in class now that you've gathered some new knowledge. Definitely feel free to check out any other YouTube videos that I have. I'll be working on more algebra videos in case there's not any right now. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.